I was at a local high school basketball game, a varsity game, and I just happened to sit in a section where there were a number of parents of players. And it's interesting to be with the parents as they're watching their sons out there on the floor. And one of the dads of a very good player was like a row in front of me. And his son, during the varsity game, had an amazing play where he stole the ball and he worked the ball around the opponents and made a basket, but a real feat of finesse. And I noticed that all the other parents standing around, or sitting around, jumped up and gave a high five to the dad. Remember the high five? That's when we were allowed to touch each other. Gave a high five as if the dad was the one who had made the basket. And one of the other guys even said, "I bet Dad taught him that play." Well, as it happened, just a few minutes later, that same kid out on the floor committed a flagrant foul. And the other team got the ball, or they went for the foul shots, made two of them, and everybody put them in the lead. And everybody was quiet. But the same other dad said, "And I bet he learned that from his dad too." Everybody around started laughing. It broke the tension. But it's such a reminder that kids and parents are intimately linked. Everybody knows that parents are not responsible for everything the kids do. And we can't blame the kids for the parents. You know, it just doesn't work that way. They're independent. But there is a tight relationship. And we do learn things from each other. The family grouping is about relationships. It's not the only relationship we have in our lives. In fact, many people have strong relationships with others who are not literally family. But when we talk about the Holy Family, we're talking about how relationships have been blessed. I love this feast because it's part of the Christmas celebration that Jesus not only came to earth, he didn't just zap down somehow, but that he was born into a human family and that he experienced all that families experience. You know, family is a workshop. That's where we learn. That's where we learn that we're loved even when we make mistakes. That's where we learn to be appreciative of each other. That's where we can take joy in somebody else's success and sorrow in their failure. Most of all, it's a place where we learn reconciliation and we learn unconditional love. I think the other thing about the celebration of the Holy Family is not that just that Jesus was born into family, but that all families are to be blessed in the way they live. We have a model to live up to. We won't reach it. We're not perfect, but we've got something to strive for. Family life also takes place when people live alone, because we find by extension that we have relationships. I remember my mother lived alone the last 9 years or so of her life. And she didn't get out a whole lot, but she had incredible relationships. It was a small town, so there were people that she had known for 70, 80 years. And she developed what she called a telephone ministry. And she would often get on the phone and call other people she knew, especially when she learned, maybe through the little daily paper, that one of their grandsons or even a great-grandchild had done something well. She would call to congratulate them and as a way of reaching out. She would also reach out to some of the others she knew were alone. And of course, what I learned was that not only was she doing this beautiful ministry to others, but it was also a blessing to her. It kept her connected. We are people of relationships, and we cannot go it alone. No one is an island. So we pray on the Feast of Holy Family that our relationships will be blessed. But we also know that if we have a relationship, we will struggle as other people struggle. In this gospel reading, Simeon says to Joseph and Mary, but must have been looking directly at Mary, when he says, "And you too will suffer because of your son." And when Simeon said that, I always think of our Stations of the Cross. And if you look over here to number 4, where Jesus is carrying the cross and he meets his mother along the way, the sorrow in her heart at that point. Or the same thing if you come all the way over here to number 13, the second last one, when Jesus is taken off the cross and in the arms of Mary. We suffer with each other. It's called empathy, that ability to enter into someone else's situation. Empathy is hard. It's very hard. It gets us out of ourselves, however, and for that reason, it's a blessing. I remember a mother told me, she said, referring to her daughter who was going through a very acrimonious divorce, she said, I hurt because my daughter hurts. And I think that summed it up so well. We are in this together. Thank God we have each other. Not just for the good times when somebody makes a basket, or even to support us in the bad times when somebody fouls, but to be with us and guide us, that together in relationships we know a little bit more about God, who is also in relationship with us.